What is overfunctioning? Let's talk about that first. At its core, it is when a parent steps in and does for a teen where the teen could be doing for themselves. And this is a really slippery slope because it can start with just the willingness and desire to want to be helpful to the teen. And over time, what can happen is you just wake up one morning and you're like, why am I doing everything? And why is my teen barking orders at me? And these questions can start to emerge. So, for example, if you're still waking up your 16-year-old every morning when they could be setting an alarm, for example, if you're constantly checking online grades and intervening with teachers before your teen has even seen what their grades are, or your teen has even had a chance to talk to their teacher. Now, this isn't to say to never help, and this is part of what makes parenting teens difficult, is that people tend to get pulled in real extremes where they feel like either we're intervening and being in kind of complete control or micromanaging, or we're being very hands-off. And the thing is, it's neither one or the other. It is a blend of the two. And so the point with overfunctioning is that when you cross a certain line, it can erode your teen's growth and can leave you feeling resentful. So put a quick yes or no in the comments. Do you think when you overfunction, it comes from fear? Or put in the comments down below, does your overfunctioning come from fear or love? Be honest with yourself and think about that. All right. So if we think about the causes of overfunctioning, there are basically 5 factors that tend to contribute to this. The first is fear. We get worried about real life implications of things like grades, safety, future opportunities. And it can become such a tricky balance, and it's a tension that parents are always holding because it's never that you're ever going to be super comfortable and not slightly vigilant about how your kids are doing, because that tends to come with the territory of being a parent. But at what point do you make room for the possibility of mistakes, for the possibility of things to go less than ideally? Because in that space is where teens then start to build their resilience, and we get to see the cool things they're capable of. And oftentimes they surprise us. So there's a way that it's always a gain when we give our teens a little bit more space to grow and operate in. Yes, that's space for them to stumble. It is also space for them to build resilience and mastery and further growth. The second factor that can contribute to this is guilt. Feeling like we haven't done enough now. It could be that you're working a lot because of whatever financial demands are in play, or maybe you're going through a divorce right now, or whatever situation of life that is outside of your control, being something other than what you wish you could give your teen. That can contribute tremendously to feelings of guilt. And when we sit with that feeling of not having done enough, and if there's any feeling that we need to do around whether we are enough, then we're very likely to overgive and to double down when things feel even more critical. And so you pay for extras and you give grace when they snap at you, and even if they tell you to shut up. And so the road gets very slippery very quickly. Number 3, control. Control is a big thing that drives overfunctioning. That fundamental belief that if you step back, everything will fall apart for your teen, for your family. And this means micromanaging schedules, social plans, college applications, any details like that. It becomes really easy in the name of efficiency to overdo it and to be doing more than what would be helpful for your team. Now, the fourth cause of overfunctioning is identity. This one cuts deep. For a lot of parents, feeling needed makes us feel secure. And if our team doesn't need us, then who are we? It is this wonder of if we're not helping our teens grow and be better, and if we're not giving them advice, then what are we even doing at all here? And are we even doing our job? And so we cling to tasks like cooking full breakfast for them, even though that's the meal they have, want nothing to do with, and it's always turning into an argument and they're rushing out the door, and it never feels like they appreciate what you're doing for them. But still, we hold on to these tasks because it feels like such an integral part of being a parent or doing what a parent is supposed to do. And a final factor that contributes to overfunctioning is a broad generational MO, I would say, for Gen Xers and Zennial parents, where we were trained that when things really matter, that's when you go above and beyond. Like when things really matter, this is the whole premise of early is on time and on time is late. Like you never arrive to someone's house without something bearing something in hand. And so we have a tremendous pressure generationally. It's I think just ingrained in us that you always go a little bit more than what is expected just to be safe. And that kind of pragmatism, it can translate then into overdoing in the name of, oh my gosh, if I'm not overdoing, then I'm not doing enough, because overdoing becomes a way we measure whether we're showing up enough. So if you've got that belief going on, then that could also be contributing to the overfunctioning. So I would love to hear in the comments which one of these factors hits closest to home for you. And, is it fear? Is it guilt? Is it identity? Is it the need for control? So, and, all of us are prone to some mixture of all of these factors, and aspects will be stronger for some of us than others, depending on our personality and temperament and other factors like that. So what's the cost of overfunctioning like this? Because it doesn't come at no cost. For parents, it typically is exhaustion, feeling unappreciated, carrying a tremendous amount of resentment, almost hopelessness because you feel like, well, you can't give it up, all the things that you're doing, because then everything will fall apart. And so, just picture the parent who keeps giving more money, even though the allowance has been given, and is buying extra and is covering extra rides, and only to feel bitter in the end because their teen doesn't appreciate any of these things or gush with gratitude. So that's the cost for parents. The significant part is also the cost to teens. And the cost is so high. It ranges from incompetence, entitlement, and a lack of resilience. There can come a point where parents become so functioning for their kids, they almost serve as a kind of concierge to their kids. And if your kids are accustomed to that, when they get to college or whatever element of independence or trade school or job, and they have to encounter that things are less than ideal, that their discomfort is not something that the world may prioritize in any way. The world may be saying to them, well, we don't care if you're uncomfortable, suck it up. The expectation is that you still work this job. So it's incredibly important to understand that the more parents do, the less space there is for teens to learn. Because the more parents do, what tends to happen is parents are focused on things like obedience. But our teens are working out bigger things, like how to make choices, how to assess the effect of the choices you made and then to adjust course and to go again, how to deal with life being less than perfect, how to deal with oneself being less than perfect. These are the things that they're working on. If you, as the parent, are always filling in the cracks for your teen, almost like foam insulation, to the point where they never feel any bumps, they're losing a really important source of data from the real world. And we need them to start filtering more and more of that in as they get older. So what happens is the more the parent does, the less the teen does. The greater the parent resentment, the more the teen doesn't feel capable or empowered or allowed to, which then tends to lead to more parent overfunctioning and then more teen underfunctioning and so on and so forth. So the cycle feeds itself. Now, think about your own home and your own family. Does this dynamic show up? And where does it show up? So let's talk about ways to break this pattern, because there are things that you can do differently and you can start shifting today with those things. So the first is to step back strategically. Choose one area that you will give your teen more ownership over, whether it's homework or laundry or waking up on time. If they're late, then letting them face the natural consequences that come with that. Breaking the pattern of overfunctioning fundamentally comes down to making space. And if you can remember that, you can always get back to home base and reset for yourself when you realize that you've been overfunctioning. So stepping back strategically is making space for the teen to step forward and take ownership. So again, picking a domain where you will do that. Number two, shifting your language in the way and what you signal to your teen. So when you see them struggling with something or they're trying to solve a problem, rather than saying, I'll do it for you, or saying, jumping in and saying, I can take care of that for you. Oh, let me do this and I'll problem solve that. With the stepping back, being able to make a comment like, I trust you'll figure this out. If there's anything I can help you with, I trust you'll let me know. So the language is shifting to make space for your teen to make choices. And your language is reflecting your understanding that they're going to figure it out, that they have a problem that they need to figure out, number one. And number two, you've signaled to them that if they want your help, they can come find you. So there comes the piece that is so important to teens, which is choice, giving them a choice. Parents only become helpful to their teens to the degree they allow their teens to have a choice to lean on parents as a source of anything. So, number three, setting boundaries. Protect your time, your energy, and resources. If it is a free-for-all of your resources and time for your teens, and there's no gateway that they need to go through to be able to access some of these benefits, it becomes really problematic. That tends to be where attitudes of entitlement can start developing, and that becomes really unpleasant to deal with as a parent. So setting boundaries, it's not about controlling your teen or their behavior. It's about controlling your resources and what you will participate in, support, condone. And so being able to say things like, I'm setting an allowance and this is as much as extra spending money you're going to see for this week. Or if you would like to see, this extra rides this weekend for whatever events, I really need you to be able to help with X, Y, and Z chore at the house. So being able to be clear about what opens the gate, what closes the gate, not based on any kind of tough love, we need to teach them a lesson, but respecting you. Boundaries are about giving parents space, because when we talk about this cycle of overfunctioning and underfunctioning, parent overfunctioning and teen underfunctioning, often everyone has lost space. There's no space for teens and there's no space for parents. So stepping back strategically, shifting your language, that is giving space for teens. Setting boundaries is giving space for you. It helps you put a limit on the madness, so to speak. It puts a limit on how far you're going to be taken on the ride, wherever. So it grounds you, and it gives you a way then to start modeling interpersonal effectiveness with your teens. And that's where they start learning that more. And then the fourth remedy, is to get better at tolerating the discomfort of bearing witness. It is tough to watch our kids in pain. And the initial instinct when we see our kids in pain is to try to intervene. It's hardwired in us. And yet, when our kids hit adolescence, it is so important that what they take from that experience is an increased feeling of agency and greater efficacy. And so in order to do that, they need access in the world. That means we have to slow ourselves down from intervening. The easiest way not the easiest, the most straightforward way to slow down that rush to intervene is by being able to actually pay attention to your discomfort. Because once you can identify the discomfort in you, you can better tell whether your parental interventions are coming from your discomfort or from a request made by your teen. And they're two very different things. When our kids are little, the goal is to protect them and to keep them safe. It's to help them avoid pain. But as they get older and move out into the world, our capacity to protect them from the painful things in life goes down. That simply starts to move way out of our control. The next best thing then that we need to do for our teens is to then help them survive and make meaning of the pain they encounter. Our goal isn't to make the pain go away. It's to help them make sense of it and to use it as data to inform them about what matters to them, what do they need to focus on, what are their bigger priorities. Because in the end, feelings are always adaptive. And we taught them about their feelings starting from when they were really little. Now that they've grown into their full-size feelings at adolescence and don't yet have the ability to control all of it, they're learning what these big feelings mean and what the data is in those. They look to us to mirror back to them like, it's okay. Yep, the feelings are super intense. It doesn't mean that reality has to be that intense, but yeah, it is scary when it feels this intense. So again, the both and of making room for the feeling and holding also the reassurance and trust and faith in them that they can see in you that we trust that they'll be able to get through it. Does it hurt like hell to watch them move through it? Yes, it is awful. And yet, when our teens are able to rise to the occasion, the sense of mastery they feel is so worth every minute of bearing witness to their pain, because that pain is part of their growth process. What makes that more palatable to go through is that they do not have to go through it alone. That's our bearing witness to it. Now, parents will say to me, well, I try to help my teen. No. There's a difference between helping in the sense of what do you want me to do to make this painful thing go away versus, wow, I see where you are. That really sucks. And I'm here if you need me. Two very different things. The second is where we're aiming for as parents when it comes to our kids being at adolescence or young adulthood, because that matches with where their developmental goals and aims are. So they are hardwired towards that movement, towards autonomy and launching. And that is definitely what we want to encourage. All right. So if you had to pick one place to step back, where would it be? If you think about breaking the pattern, which one of these four things do you want to try to start implementing today? So if you are wanting help with issues related to overfunctioning and breaking the cycle, and you're not sure how it is possible to step out of this continual pattern where you're just feeling worn down, please, there's a free 30-minute consultation waiting for you. If you go to my profile, you'll find the link, set it up. I'd be happy to talk with you about what's going on for you, ways that you might be able to move forward, and if you're looking for support, how I might be able to help you there. So I wish you guys a great rest of the evening. Thank you for joining me.